God.
Say that I'm like Ronnie, I'm thankful to see all the people that's come out showing the family love and compassion. I'd read of Jesus when the multitudes would be so great around him, and they went days and tarried with him, hadn't eaten nothing, and the Bible said he'd look on them and he'd have compassion on them. And the compassion's a great thing. And I watched maybe yesterday evening there at the funeral home, just people, we got there kind of late, but people in and out constantly coming in to show support. And you know, sometimes it ain't what we can say in a moment, but it's what we do. That's right. And the Bible said it like this: it said, "Love not in word, but in deed and in truth." And, you know, it's one thing I could tell everybody here that I love you, but when I see you put that effort to show, and we love with more than our words, and I believe there's been a lot of people doing that for this family, and I'm so thankful for that. I'm glad how I've seen the Lord helping them up to now. I say this maybe before we read these little scriptures that are on our heart. Maybe a Sunday morning, this past Sunday morning, how I watched church, and you know, God amazes me in the ways that He can bring strength and the ways that He can bring comfort when really there's nothing that we can do in our own strength or our own power. But I was standing up behind maybe the pulpit in Kittle Island where we go to church, and I watched when the door opened up in the back, and I seen Tasha and Tanya and the girls and different ones come in, and I watched as they only got maybe halfway up the aisle, and the Spirit of the Lord began to move upon them. I watched as that got on Tasha and began to shake her and to quicken her and speak her in tongues. And you may say, how do you do that? The Spirit of God is how you do that. That ain't her doing that. That ain't her strength. That ain't her mustering up power or strength. That's something that only comes from God. That's something that we can't do on our own. The Bible said every good gift and every perfect gift coming down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. And I told them that day as I stood up there at church, I said, this family has given me faith today. That this family that they chose after great sorrow and great heartache to come out to a place where they knew they was strength, where they knew they was help in the house of God. I was really, I don't know in myself what to say, but I was praying maybe as Tosh, and we're so thankful that they asked us to say just a little something. Just maybe close to Judd, really close to him there. And I thought how that I was at work one day, and you know, I didn't know rightly where to go, and sometimes in order to teach you where to go, and sometimes it's just like it's there. When you get to reading the scriptures, it's just there. And I was sitting at work, and I don't always get the opportunity to, but the part that we was working on, I had to change scripture, just open my Bible and read. And I felt like the Lord, let me read this. And I'd love to share this today. And I know that it's God that's helping. And I've seen maybe when I asked Tosh last night how they're doing, you know, and I know that's a question, but she said the Lord's helping. That's right. The Lord's helping us. And that's what He's doing today, is helping. He's still helping. And I'd like to read this in the 68th Psalm. And I'll start at the 3rd verse and read from the 3rd verse down to about the 6th verse. The Bible said, but let the righteous be glad. Let them rejoice before God. Yea, let them exceedingly rejoice. Sing unto God. Sing praises to His name. Extol Him that rideth upon the heavens by His name, Jah, and rejoice before Him. And when I read this 5th verse, I said in work, I felt this is exactly what I needed to read today. The Bible said, a father of the fatherless, and a judge of the widows, is God in His holy habitation. God sitteth the solitary in families. He bringeth out those which are bound with chains. He said, but the rebellious dwell in a dry land. As I was praying, you know, I know that's what everybody's just been trying to do, is pray and have something to say. And I really have not had nothing much that I knew that I could say. But when I read this, I got to thinking about the God that we serve. That's right. And, you know, we know that He sits on His throne. I've never seen Him. I've never seen Him come down in flesh. I wasn't there, Stephen, when He walked among men. I didn't get to see Him, but I do know that He's real today. And I believe His family knows that He's real. And you say, how do we know that He's real? Because from time to time we feel His Spirit and His presence come among us. But I know that sometimes when we talk about God, We think about how big that He is and how great that He is and how much power that He's got, Richard. And it can almost seem like He's far away sometimes. That He's just a God that sits over just seeing everything, and He does see everything. He does sit on His throne. I guess what hit me when I read this verse is that same God that sits on the throne, that caused the sun to come up this morning, that let it go down this evening, that put breath in our body, is the same God that said, I'll be a father of the fatherless. I'll be a judge of the widows. Why does He do that, Gary? Because He loves us with a great love today. I get to looking at what God's already doing to help this family, but I know there's more help that's going to be needed. And I love to encourage you today, because this man's a judge of the widows. Children, I love these kids. I do. I love them. This is my family too. This is my family too. And I want you to know God is the Father of the fatherless. Father of the fatherless and a judge of widows. And I read over in the book of, I believe it's Corinthians, that Paul said, the God of all comfort, that comforted us in all of our tribulations by the comfort wherewith we ourselves are comforted of God. Listen, that ain't what I can give or what any of us can give today, but that's that man, that's the Father of the fatherless and the judge of widows. That man is able to help today, God. That man's able to help today. And, listen, I wish, gosh, I could take some of this and bear some of this, but my shoulders can't. Any of us, we would try, and ourselves we would try. But what I wanted to read to you is there is a Father. There is a judge of the widows. And I got to looking in the Scriptures how God cares for those that's cast out. How God cares for them that's been wounded. How God cares for them that's been grieved. The Bible said He's nigh unto them that are of a broken heart. He's saving such that they have a contrite spirit. Today I look around, they broken hearts. And in the natural eye, that's what we see today is grief and brokenness. But I see a Father today. I see a Father today. I see a God that's judge of all. I see a God that knows how to help Cody. And He knows how to give strength. And He knows how to bind up what's broken. But I tell you how He becomes Father. You've got to come to Him and say, Lord, let me be one of your children. Let me feel that love that you have as a Father for me. I need that love. This family's leaning on God right now. But I know there's some here today that are not praying and that ain't serving God. And listen, I ain't here to jump on to you. I'm just here to tell you about a man that's a father. That's right. The fathers. A judge of widows. Now, he could have said he was all sorts of things right there. He could have said, I'm Alpha and Omega. He is. He could have said, I'm the first and the last. And He is. He could have said, I formed the world by my words. And He did. He could have said, I've got power to speak the word and it'll be done. And He does. He's got that power. Josh, He could have said many great things about Himself. But here this psalmist began to write as the Spirit inspired him to write this, and he said, God is a judge of the widows. What's it mean? He cares for people. He knows what He's done wrong. He loves to be a Father of the fatherless. One writer said this, it said, remove not the ancient landmark and enter not into the field of the fatherless. Now God is a God that cares. He's a God that loves and a God of mercy and a God of grace. But I'm telling you today, if there's anything that this whole family, I'm not just talking about one person, but everybody in this family, everybody that knows Jug, everybody that's going through grief right now, I want you to know this ain't just a distant God somewhere. This ain't just a God that we read about or just a God that we hear about. But this is a God that when we get in our vehicle and we go back home, He's there. Middle of the night, He's there. Early morning hours, He's there. Now I wanted to encourage you, say a little something today to let you know that He is a God that cares, that knows, that sees. I'll say this, and I read in one place where the Lord had come to Abraham and got to talking to him and warning him what was fixing to come. And Abraham started talking with the Lord and pleading with Him. We know that story. He pleaded, got him down to 10 righteous. But before he got to pleading with God, Mark, he said something, and I've never forgot what Abraham said. This is what I'd like to leave you with, if you'll let me. He's talking to God, and God was telling him that He was going to go down there, Richard, and what He was going to do in Sodom and Gomorrah. And Abraham stopped and looked at the Lord, and he said, shall not the judge for all the earth do right? Hallelujah. I don't know a lot of things, and I don't understand a lot of things. I can raise both hands for them today and tell you that the judge of all the earth will still do right. The God that we serve that cares and knows He'll still do what's right. I've watched how people show kindness and love. And, you know, they've been great generosity. Our people show that's wonderful. That's what God expects us to do. But there's something that none of us can give. And that's the very thing He's able to give. There's something none of us can do. And that's the very thing He's able to do. When your heart is heavy. When it gets, David said, he said, when my heart is overwhelmed with envy. Glory to God. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I. Children, there's going to be days your heart's going to be overwhelmed. And I'd love to be there and pick that up off of them and take it far away. But there'll be days I can't do that, Josh. You can't do that. But this man said when our heart is overwhelmed with it. Hallelujah, there's a rock that's higher up than we are. There's a God that's in the throne that sees man in your heart and knows how to comfort us. He knows how to comfort. He knows how to comfort. But the psalmist here said He's a father of the fatherless and a judge of the widows. His God in His holy habitation. So while He's up there on His throne and He's doing everything good and right, He's also right here today. He's also right here today. And He's not distant where Robert, but He's close. He's nigh. He's here to give strength. What I know to tell you is this little bit. When you feel that overwhelming, go to that rock. Go to Him. Pour out to Him. Just tell Him, Lord, this is how I feel. You know, I have trouble relaying to people how I feel. That's just something I struggle with. You know, to relay to somebody how I feel. This man, I can go to him and without even being able to explain it. Without you even being able, you'll get down to pray and you'll say, God, I just don't. You'll try to get it out, you won't be able to get it out. But He'll know. Because the Bible said we have not an high priest that cannot be touched by the living blood and infirmities. He was tempted in all points, like as we are, and yet without sin. There ain't no doubt in my mind this man is touched today by what this family's feeling. God, He's touched today by what the grief in your heart. But you know where that help's at. You know where that rock is at, Cody. You know that there's a rock that's higher than we are that we can go to and He can help us in our time of trouble. There ain't no doubt that everybody continue praying. There'll be people that are still there. And I just want you to know, Tosh, it's God. That you felt Sunday morning, you give me faith. I watched that get on her, get her right down in the floor, and her shaking and speaking in tongues. And that give me faith. And I watched the children as God was coming down to give comfort, coming down to give strength. Tell you that He don't change from that day to today. He don't change in His power. But in the days to come, He'll be a judge, a righteous judge. He'll be a father. He'll be a friend. He'll be a friend. Hallelujah. He'll be a friend that sticketh close to the Bible says than a brother. And I'm telling you what you're going to need. You're going to need that friend. But He'll be there. He'll be there. I love His family. I do. I want y'all, everyone. I appreciate that we was able to say this something today. But I just want to say that one more time. He's the Father of the fatherless. And He is a judge of the widows. And He is a friend. Sticks closer than a brother. We love His family.